It's not every day that an episode of any TV show comes along bringing about a significant personal impact on me. The Gumball episode that aired last week is probably one of the writer's most meaningful efforts ever. It's on an equal playing field as the Shell from Season 3, and anyone who's seen my top 10 list knows that episode is my all-time favorite from this show. So that's saying something. I'll explain my line of reasoning in more detail once we take a look at the new The Amazing World of Gumball episode, The Choices. During dinner time, the Watterson kids impatiently bang their fists on the dining table as they continuously demand for food. While this is going on, Nicole is in the kitchen slaving away at the stove, with Richard being of no help of any kind.
Kids, please!
It needs to be way louder to have any effect.
We want food! We want food!
Was that really necessary?
But you work better under pressure. Anyway, I helped.
You were supposed to salt the potatoes, boil the carrots, and tenderize the meat, but instead...
Pretty much a typical evening for any family. Well, as typical as it gets for this family anyway. After Nicole accidentally burns her cooking, she's ready to lash out at her family when the scene pauses and she, via off-screen narration, contemplates on what her life would have been like if the circumstances were even the slightest bit different. We're then treated to a backstory where we find out what Nicole's childhood was like, which includes the introduction of her parents.
Nicole, we need to talk about your report card.
But I got straight A's.
Not here. Gender.
Yeah, F because I'm female.
Being a girl is not an excuse.
Quick piece of trivia. You see that surname on the report card? That just so happens to be the maiden name of Ben Bocquelet's real-life mother.
How much time have I got?
54,321 minutes until your graduation, 374,582 minutes until you get your diploma from law school, and 754,471 minutes until you marry a doctor.
I mean before the tournament.
5 minutes. You'll make it if you run.
I know. Love you too.
No, I was going to say second place is first place for losers, but yeah, that too.
Wow, you guys are jackasses. You should really meet Buck Cluck from Chicken Little. I bet you three would make for wonderful drinking buddies. So with the family card totaled, Nicole has no choice but to make it to her karate tournament on foot. Damn. Even as a kid, she's a badass. It's only a matter of time before Gumball becomes a badass himself. But if past episodes are anything to go by, he might already be one. Like mother, like son, alright. Her badassery aside, the young Nicole eventually loses her way somewhere in the park. From there, present-day Nicole wonders what the other possibilities would have been like.
Well, it took all day. Hajime! Thank heavens she's gone.
A dictator? Whoa. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't mind it if the world were under Nicole's authority.
Nicole, are you okay?
Thank you for that, writers. I'm sure I'll be able to sleep well tonight.
Are you doing that creepy thing where guys criticize girls to lower their confidence so they'll go out with them?
You're way too intelligent for that kind of trick. Your parents don't love you. You look better with the veil on.
Hey!
So, how do you like the sushi? It took me hours.
It's cold.
Let me heat it up for you. Is that hot enough for you? Is it?
And I thought Nicole's parents were jackasses. Harold, just between you and me, I am so glad that Tobias got your credit card frozen, you insufferable son of a bitch.
Hey there, have you ever considered using the power of hugs as an alternative to modern medicine?
Wait, they say a single flap of a butterfly's wing can cause a hurricane on the other side of the world. So what would have happened if I'd never stepped on...
Don't worry, a hug will cure you!
Hey, you need a ride?
No! Oh, wait, I do actually. You got a spare helmet.
You don't need a helmet when you're cool.
So let's recap. She dashes past the wet cement, she's screwed. She chooses Banana Bob, she's screwed. She chooses Harold, she's screwed. She gets a hug from Mr. Small, avoids the butterfly, or hitches a ride with the bikers. She's dead. So, regardless of what path she chooses, she's either screwed or dead. What a downright horrible thought! That's not 100% true, though. Last but not least, we take a look at the only outcome left, the young Richard Watterson.
So, how?
Well, I was feeding a squirrel some nuts
Ah,
to see where he hides all his nuts,
okay.
and it worked a little too well.
Okay, don't move.
Get used to it, honey.
Okay, I've got to run now.
Why?
To compete.
Why?
'Cause I have to fight.
Why?
Because I have to be the best.
Why?
So people will like me?
But lots of people already like you.
Really? Like who?
Does this mean that Richard has known or seen Nicole around for quite some time now? Because that would explain so much.
What would you do if you were me?
If I had done everything you've done, sleep till I'm 40.
I mean, what should I do with my life?
Maybe start living it?
Aww. Like 2 peas in a pod. Now we know what she saw in him. And what follows is what is without a doubt one of the most beautiful moments in the history of this series, and all of animation even. Ah, that piano music. So relaxing. I'd do anything for a Gumball soundtrack. The music is just so top-notch. I could listen to it all day and never get bored of it.
Actually, you know what? I wouldn't change a thing.
Oh no, little man. This is a food war!
Oh my god. That was breathtaking. You know, an episode hits a bullseye when even the creator of the series himself has admitted to shedding a tear. The versatility of the amazing world of Gumball has always been one of its more defining merits. Through and through, it is a comedy series, but it's never afraid to branch off to other genres once in a while. It accomplishes what it aims to accomplish, often to full effect. When it comes to this episode, it's a similar result. Yes, a dense and detailed style of storytelling is something to appreciate, but sometimes that isn't always necessary. The Choices provides us with so much in so little time. It shows us what we need to know about Nicole and Richard, nothing more and nothing less. It's enough to fill in the blanks that have been there for the past 5 years. The key point here is that it shows. It doesn't have to resort too much to any spoken dialogue or narration. The scenes speak for themselves. When the episode needed to prove how horrible Nicole's parents are, all it needed was to have the mom acting controlling and the dad acting like he doesn't give 2 shits. When it felt the need to convey the happiness between Nicole and Richard, it did so through their blissful moments alone, without the need for either of them talking or a narrator talking over these moments. That is a prime example of powerful storytelling, more showing and less telling, and ensuring that the audience can put these events into the proper context. And yes, I understand that it feels identical to Disney Pixar's Up. I can't argue too much against ya, because beat by beat they are similar. But the similarities are more in terms of atmosphere and not so much their actual plots and stories. Though you might be able to make direct comparisons between Richard and Ellie. Maybe. Making the story even more resonant is the inclusion of issues that actually exist in real life. The alternative outcomes are cartoonish, except for Nicole potentially ending up with Harold and his passive-aggressive bullshit. I hate you so much, you sniveling, pretentious, cowardly jerk-off! So that's one. Another are both the overbearing and apathetic parents, which explains why Nicole turned out the way she did. Guess Miss Simeon isn't the only culprit here. However, those are nothing compared to Nicole and Richard's premarital sex and subsequent pregnancy. Holy shit, that is a little too real for Gumball's liking. Sure, the show sneaks in risque and black comedy material every other episode, but this is one of the more sensitive territories the writers could ever set foot on. That's just unbelievable. That brings me to why this episode resonates with me on multiple fronts. From a storytelling standpoint, this is top-tier work, no doubt about that. On a personal level, this hits home for me so very hard. In my family, I tend to make passing comments that we are so much like the Wattersons. We may not be as zany as they are, but as a family, we're as close as they are. This episode takes that to a whole new level. My parents became close to each other under the same circumstances that Nicole and Richard did. They were at the pinnacle of their youth when they fell in love, and the young are naturally more prone to mistakes than the old are. Without giving away too much, let me just say that my parents made their share of mistakes back then. Mistakes that are costly for both of them and their loved ones, and could have easily been avoided with enough care. Conceiving a child at such a young age and before getting married is life-changing. In the snap of a finger, the unborn baby overrides whatever plans you may have had beforehand. If you are aspiring to enter college and leave to become a doctor, lawyer, scientist, or any kind of vocational occupation, you can kiss those aspirations goodbye. Or if life is being kind to you, put them on hold for a very long time. Once again, if the continuity of the series is anything to go by, Nicole had no choice but to sacrifice the dreams that her parents, well, her mother at least, can't say much about the father, had for her since the beginning, along with her own dreams too. Richard might not have had anything to give up when it comes to his own aspirations, but the burden is still firmly on his shoulders, since he too had a significant role to play in their situation. And their sacrifices are precisely what brought Gumball, Darwin, and Anais to the world. Likewise, the sacrifices that my mother and father made brought myself and my 2 younger sisters to this world. I can't even fathom how great those sacrifices must have been for them. But as the saying goes, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. Nicole and Richard found it just as my parents have down the road. And I can't be any more grateful. I can't be any more blessed. Sorry, I think I got something in my eye. I don't just love this episode, I am thankful for it. I am thankful to the writers and to Ben Bocquelet for putting this marvel together. For 5 years now, I have established a thorough connection with these bright, colorful, and likable characters. And an episode such as this makes that connection even stronger. What does that make my overall score for the choices? You should know by now. 5 out of 5. Damn it, now it's going to be even harder to revise my top 10 list. So that was the choices from the amazing world of Gumball. And that was quite the load off my chest. I'm gonna make these Gumball episode reviews a more regular thing. That should be a good idea. What do you guys think? Y'all seem to love them, so hey, it only seems logical that I make more of them. Obviously, I'd love to review as many Gumball episodes as I can, but I want to set a standard for myself so that it's manageable for me and I maintain variety in my channel. And that standard would be to put out these reviews on an established, frequent basis, and if a new episode is a substantial one such as this, I will prioritize it over everything else. Sounds like a plan. And as the first part of my plan, stick around for a special little shindig I've got in store for Halloween, as well as another big shindig for later this year. Very minor spoiler alert, it's a crossover between myself and another YouTuber. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. I'll leave you people to guess who this special guest is. So stay tuned for those and my Star vs. the Forces of Evil Season 2 recap. Part 3 should be the next video up, and you can expect it in the following couple of days. As always, I'm the one and only CR Martin, and I'm gonna go for some quality time with my family. See you guys later.